What's going on, guys? Dropadooski here. So today I want to talk about the proposed changes to Primal Ancients. Blizzard put up a post yesterday describing what they plan to do with the Primal Ancients based on the previous blue post where everybody was freaking out and hated the idea and hated the concept of Primal Ancients. So they were going to go back to the drawing board, make some changes, and now we know what they're going to be. So I'm just going to read this with you guys. As we mentioned previously, getting your feedback on Primal Ancients has been super helpful. We've heard some really good points, and along with this, we'll be making some changes to how these items work in an upcoming PTR patch. Rather than increase the power they give you beyond ancient items, Primal Ancients will now instead roll perfect ancient level stats tailored to the character class you're playing when the item first drops. Rerolling any of these at the Mystic will also yield only perfect rolls. So I'm going to pause there and kind of go over my thoughts on this. To be honest, when Primals were first announced, I was on the fence, right? There was a lot of people that hated it based on, everything being based off of weapon damage, so you would have to get a weapon to compete. But there was a part of me that liked the concept of Primals because it brought the game back towards a gear grind sort of scenario rather than a paragon grind scenario, which we all do right now. Not that I hate paragons, but at the same time I feel like the hunt for +5 main stat is arguably more important than the feeling or the feeling you get for hunting for better gear. So I mean, there were positive and negatives to Primal Ancients, but I do want to say with this concept, first of all, I'll say I think this was a good change, right? It was a good change, but I also think it was the easiest good change, right? Like, there were so many conversations opened up in regards to Primal about, breaking the mold, right? If we introduce Primal Ancients, then maybe we could introduce a Paragon cap. I mean, there are positive and negatives to that. If we, there was just so many possibilities that we could get into with the concept of Primal Ancients that could change the dynamic of the game, because it is an older game, and granted, I love it still, and I play it all the time. I mean, a lot of you guys do, but it hasn't changed a ton in the past 4 or 5 seasons. So I thought this was a great opportunity for them to make some sort of big dynamic change to the game and to let us, experience D3 from a different angle or do something differently. But with that being said, they did opt for a route that enables you to get a perfect ancient, right? It's an ancient. It's not a primal. It's an ancient that rolled perfect stats, which is something that a lot of us that even play a ton of Diablo has never seen, right? So it's super cool. But it's not necessarily like a new item or something different. I also think it's a little ambiguous or strange to, like, it's going to be tailored to the class that you're playing. I guess there's just different variations of that. Like, say for instance, you're the damage dealer for a 4-man group for the Rift Guardian. You're not going to want area damage on that weapon. You're going to want percent damage. How is it going to know, right? How would it know? Like, I'm using Shenlong's Fist as an example here. Like, your Shenlong's Fist is going to be rolled differently for your solo than it is for your group play. So I don't really know how they're going to combat that. I do know that at the Mystic, it'll roll perfect rerolls from what they're stating here in this last paragraph. So that could potentially be the solution to that, even though I'm assuming what this means is you're going to get max weapon damage, max primary stat, and then, max vitality or something. And then you've got 2 other stats, 1 or 2 other stats, and they could just be randomized just like every other gear piece. So you get perfect cooldown or perfect attack speed or perfect, life per hit or whatever. So a Primal Ancient still may not guarantee that you're going to get something that will be perfect for the given scenario. And I'm hoping they have a way to combat that, right? Maybe you can reroll 2 stats. I don't know, because let's move forward. Along with this, these items will be even more rare than they currently are. So that's what I was jumping into. Like, if they're going to be even more rare than that 1% drop that was the initial Primal Ancient drop rate, then I think it's going to be really, really sad and saddening when you get a primal that you can't use for that given class. Now, maybe that won't happen, but if you got something that rolls, you know, perfect life per hit and cooldown, and you need, you don't need cooldown for that build, or you don't need, you know, life per hit, you actually need percent damage, area damage. I mean, that thing is like, it's pretty good. I mean, it's better than, you know, it's a so-so weapon, but it's a primal that was like a 0.5% chance to drop or whatever. I'm just guessing off the top of my head. It's gonna be like, oh, the feels bads, the big feels bads, you know what I mean? So hopefully there's a way for them to guarantee that these things are usable if they're gonna be that rare. And will only be begin dropping after a character on your account has completed a Greater Rift 70 solo with separate unlocks for hardcore and normal. I do like that aspect, that you have to push to a certain level in order to get them at all. I really like the concept in the game, just in general, of, you know, quote unquote feats of strength, right? I've done this, now I've unlocked the ability to get something better, rather than, you know, this just complete flat grind landscape. You know, there's another little something to work for, right? Now, everybody that plays a lot is going to get to Greater Rift level 70, but you're not going to have people getting ancient primals within the first 10 hours, or, you know, 8 hours of gameplay. Finally, we hear you on wanting ancient or primal items to salvage into something more valuable. With the upcoming PTR patch, ancient items will salvage into 3 Forgotten Souls, and primal ancients will salvage into 15 Forgotten Souls. Yay, reforging. I don't know. Anybody that plays this game heavily knows that Forgotten Souls... I mean, I think right now on my seasonal character, I have 4,000 Forgotten Souls. I think it's neat that they're changing the way that these things salvage to give you something like that. But, you know, realistically, would you rather have 15 Forgotten Souls, or would you rather have 5 Forgotten Souls and 10 Death's Breath? Because, I mean, for me, my personal play style, like, I would prefer re-rolling yellows than running bounties for a full day. So I think there's other things they could do with that there. I guess that doesn't really make sense, because when you disenchant a legendary, you get a Forgotten Soul. Why would you get Death's Breath? But we're at a place right now where they can literally do whatever they want, right? Primals are a brand new concept. They could give you, you know, 10 or 20 of all mats except for Forgotten Souls. Who knows, dude? There's just so many things that they could do with this. So 15 Forgotten Souls is cool, but when you're talking about an item that you may see, you know, 10, 20 in a season, is, you know, that's not a huge, like, it's not an incentive type thing. It's not like, oh, cool, even if I can't use it, I'm going to get, like, more Forgotten Souls, you know, yawn, whatever. So we're looking forward to hearing your feedback once you've had a chance to test these changes. Thanks, and happy hunting. I really think that I want to put an emphasis on that this was the safest solution to the uproar, the negative uproar about Primal Ancients, but safest doesn't mean bad. This is probably going to calm down. I mean, as you see the first comment right here on my screen, I love it. Thank you. 3 thumbs up. So there are people that are happy about this change, and I do think that it was a solid, it's a better implementation. If you want to avoid asking the bigger questions in regards to seasonal play and changing it up and making it more interesting and more enticing for old players to come back to, or new players to jump into, then this was the correct solution for keeping your current player base happy. I mean, the people that are still playing and still really, really excited about seasonal play and play every season, then this is not like game breaking like the previous Primal Ancients were, because you would have caught yourself running, you know, days upon days of bounties to get that weapon. If you didn't get that weapon and you were competing at the highest level, you weren't competing at the highest level anymore, because every one of those guys in the top 10 have that weapon. So I do think this was a safe change. But I hope if, you know, if Blizzard hears any of this out there, I do hope that we get more opportunities in the future to make some substantial changes to seasonal play, and the paragon, I don't know, conundrum is what I'll call it. I like that. I like the I think paragons have served their purpose to a certain extent, at least in their current state, right? Back when they were added into the game, it was done really well, but now we're getting to the point where that's all you care about. And of course you're working for gear and you're hoping for better drops, but anything that you do outside of paragon grinding in order to get those drops negatively impacts your ability to compete, because the guy that does nothing but paragon grind and gets his gear via paragon grinding will have, you know, X amount of paragons more than you, making you stronger. I think there could be all kinds of implementations to combat this so that it opens up more avenues for other gameplay. You know, like beyond a certain point, you don't get +5 main stat anymore, you only get +1, and you can get +5 to vitality, or, you know, something that enables your character to potentially, in high push, greater rift pushes, not instantly die when a demon farts, you know. But you're also not ever going to, in the current state, I'm going to just keep putting stuff in vitality. No, because you won't have the damage to push that high either. So there's got to be a solution there, you know, that could not only curve some of the power creep, but change the dynamic of the gameplay and greater rift pushing, you know, like making your character more tanky, potentially adding a new level for paragon points beyond 1,000, or a new like tier, you know, instead of just strength, vite, movement speed. You know, maybe there's a new tier that unlocks when you hit 1,000. I don't know, but we can do a discussion about that in another video. This was just to talk about the changes to Primal Ancients and to give you my thoughts on them. As always, please put some comments on the video. Give me your thoughts on these changes. Let me know if you're happy with them, if you're not happy with them. Let me know if you like some of my thoughts on this stuff. And let's open up more conversations in this area, and in the area in general, of, you know, modifying the game and making it a little different. Thank you all for all the support and for you know, stopping in and watching this video. If you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe. As always, I am streaming on Twitch 5 days a week, so stop by anytime and we can, you know, bullshit about this stuff live. And also I can just answer any other D3 questions that you have during the season. So it's twitch.tv/Dropaduski. Thanks again, everybody, and have a good week.